Let's talk about some of these unique things, of course, after we introduce our players. Let's start, of course, in the southeast position as the red Protoss. It is Parting. Of course, in the northwest position as the blue Protoss. And find out how that practice has been paying off. We've got State. Now, let's talk about the map in relation to PvP, because that's really what I think is the most important aspect.
Okay, so first and foremost, one of the things you have to talk about is the early stage of PvP. It's very common to see that Mama Ship Core gets squeezed out just after the Zealot and Stalker, or perhaps just your Stalker. The reason for this, of course, is that its energy is really important for things like that Photon Overcharge, or Planetary Nexus, as I call it, Recall. But more importantly and more commonly used in this matchup is going to be, as Day9 calls it, the Time Bomb, or Time Stop, or Time Warp. It's something of that nature, but the fact of the matter is, the reason why it's so important at that time is because Protoss have globbed onto the concept of like 3-gate harass, or some kind of Stalker, Mama Ship Core, probatory harass, where they're trying to figure out, what are you teching to? Did you cut? Are you at Zealot Sentry? Do you have a Mama Core? Or do you have a lot of units because perhaps you're going Blink Stalker? So a lot of Protoss have kind of figured out that gameplay to be very strong in here. And you had mentioned the map. Well, look at the ramp, actually. There's not a whole lot of infrastructure that's going to go on around that map, or that ramp, excuse me. So the amount of aggression you can generate and get results from on this map is not going to be too terribly high, just because this ramp's very uneventful that way.
Sure. Now, as you'd mentioned, we've got Parting, who is very well versed. He's been recently playing in Pro League. How much Heart of the Swarm has Parting actually played? I think we might be able to get an idea just by watching this game. But I have to say, just from my brief observations from State, he doesn't necessarily look 3 months out of practice. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. We're so early in the game at 19 supply apiece. But, you know, just like seeing his probe timings as they come out, dropping down his Psycore, then going to mine, etc. with Gateway 2. And these probes are going to do a little kiss.
Kissy.
Oh, there it is.
Love you.
And move on.
Let's not let State exaggerate too much. I did hit him a few times a ladder, so I know that he's at least practiced.
Sure, of course.
What he's trying to express is that if he had a match with Parting down the road, this guy would like to be telling you that he had to have like a prosthetic finger put on because it was ground down to the bone because he played so much StarCraft. But that's not the case. State is going to pull back here. Build order-wise, we're seeing that he's actually got a probe inside the natural of Parting. He's not too interested in checking out the main beyond what he did do. Let me see if he actually checked the main at all. He did not. So he's not letting him know. Well, actually, the probe's kissed, so the cat's out of the bag in that way. But the point is, he's going to hide it for this moment at least. And we can see that they're both doing mirror images of themselves, same exact supply. It's very Stalker-based, no sentries out. And one of the reasons why there's no sentries, because Mama Ship Core gives you vision at the top of the ramp. Force fielding the ramp's not quite as big of a deal anymore. It's better to have the aggression option.
We've got 2 Stalkers coming out over on State side, but the exact same thing coming out on Parting side. But we do see on Parting side that Twilight Council's going to get seen.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely. And that's a big old tell. But it's not a total giveaway. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to have to wait. I mean, it has not been canceled yet. And that's now the mind game that State is in. Well, of course he's going to cancel, but what if he doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, he instantly threw down the Robo, so he may be on that mindset, but at least functionally he's not acting in that way. He's going to go ahead and go with a 2-gate Robo expand build. We can see his probe idling at the natural. It's a very strong build. We see a pylon going down by Parting. It might actually get spotted here. In fact, this probe might give it away, and that's actually a real big deal because there is the Dark Shrine going down. Now, wait, it's more inexpensive in Heart of the Swarm, which means you can do that, but look at how this is aligning. We have State with a Robo expansion versus a Dark Shrine that it should do nothing.
And he's going to try to come in. Oh, he got a warp in. He got a warp in, a great warp in, and now he brings another Stalker around from the side. He's most certainly going to grab this one, and maybe a second one. It's just probably going to get the shields down, no hull damage. But you know what? This Nexus, it's not building at all. He's going to easily take this out. I mean, look, the Mothership's core is out, and there's a few additional units with Warp Gate right there. But I don't think that he can combat this.
Well, supply block is the big issue right now. He's down a pylon that did get picked off. He's got a Immortal coming out, so he should save the Nexus.
I think he is.
My question to you, Weed, is when you see that many Stalkers, you see 5 Stalkers, you already spotted the Twilight Council, there's a really good chance you say to yourself, well, that's Blink. I'm not facing DT. So if he skips the Observer, which he has so far already done, the Mama Ship Core does go down. That's a pretty big deal. No Photon Overcharge. which means this Nexus is now in more danger.
You know, and oh, oh my gosh. You know, I would have said there's no way the Nexus is going to go down after you said that, because it was getting it out. But with these 2 sentries coming in off of that pylon that almost got taken out, I mean, you imagine this is a totally different game.
Force
and
field.
There it is.
Yeah, it's going to be taxed, so there's a little bit of a toll for that cost. But I'll tell you what, he'll gladly pay that toll. And there is a DT out now by that pylon. And no observer out weak, so this DT could come in and do a hack and slash on that mineral line that is the stuff of legends. Yeah,
and even with this, we've got a second Immortal coming out.
Yeah.
You know, the DT comes, and yeah, sure, an observer comes, but there's still some time after that, and he
spots it.
Oh, but he spot it.
Fly blocked for a second there. I think it just got opened up.
Yeah, he's going to get a few probes here. Absolutely. In fact, there he's trying to run away, just waiting. It's an unfortunate. Fortunate timing here for State, but he's handled it well. I mean, lost a lot of mining time here, but DTs continue to cause some problems. Where did that observer go? There, it's coming.
Yeah, it had a weird rally point there, and the DT's not too. It actually might escape. It is going to escape, and that is salt to the wound, actually. Please just die. Just die so that State doesn't. No, it's outpacing the observer, so it's going to get out of there. Mama Ship Core has made its way over to the natural. That's good scouting information. We can check in on the build orders here. We actually have a Stargate being added by our Red Protoss parting. That's a beautiful transition. No longer is the Robo necessary. Even if you're worried about detection, you can just make an Oracle.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd rather have those Void Rays. That's where you're going to end up anyways. Colossus is a thing of the past in this matchup for the most part. And on the flip side, State is stuck on that Robo and is just now getting his Nexus finish as well. So if you look at that income tab, the economy of parting significantly better, 13 probe advantage.
Yeah. I just want to point out that nice Mothership Core harass. We've been seeing more Protosses drop that time warp on top of the mineral line, and then, you know, harass if there's no units there, get a couple of kills. Is it really going to do significant damage? No, just a cool move that I actually do like.
You're not alone.
It's, you know, I mean, I'm sure used in the right situation, it can do a ton of damage. In this case, not really so much.
And here comes that DT.
Guys, come back in. Is he going to snipe the sentry? Yes. A second one even?
He might. I mean, at the very least, he's going to chase him back up into the main. There's that force field. They whiff. I mean, unfortunately for State, this is a game that he is going to regret having played. I mean, this happens to everybody. Once something comes unraveled, you start kind of like freaking out about everything else. Nice little pickup there by the Warp Prism, but that's just to make the damage less painful. Good force fields there, saving some probes' lives, but otherwise this one DT should never be doing this. There should have been at least a second observer, because you know that DTs are at least capable of coming.
Yeah, it really is, and you know, at the cost of what the observer is, and even the time it takes to build, it's so much worth it over having that second Immortal. I mean, that second Immortal hasn't done jack. But here comes the true force out of parting now. The DT's almost a distraction up to this point, Jeff. The Mothership Core traveling over, but more importantly, these 2 Void Rays, it's going to be very, very difficult for State to zone. He's got 3 Stalkers, and if they become the targets, this is a game over.
Well, he's up to 3 Void Rays with the 4th nearly popping out. Charge almost finished. I mean, the bottom line here is that the Void Rays are going to be the dominant force in the air. The Stalker count just simply not high enough to do anything about it. But that's only half the problem. The Zealot Sentry, it was instant GG. And I don't blame State at all. It might seem like a premature GG, but honestly, watching his army die would have just been more pain for him to witness.